Jamestown's survival proved something that once seemed impossible. Permanent English settlements in North America could endure. In its early years, the colony nearly collapsed under starvation, disease, and conflict with the Powhatan Confederacy. Yet it survived. Tobacco farming soon transformed Jamestown into a profitable venture, catching the attention of investors in England. Merchants funded new expeditions, while farmers and craftsmen imagined opportunities across the Atlantic. What once seemed like a dangerous gamble slowly began to look like a path to land and wealth. Over the coming decades, ships carrying settlers, laborers, and families crossed the ocean. Along the Atlantic coastline, scattered settlements appeared, laying the first foundations of England's future American colonies. In 1620, another group of English settlers crossed the Atlantic seeking religious freedom. Known as the Pilgrims, they were separatists who wanted to worship outside the authority of the Church of England. Their journey aboard the Mayflower lasted more than 2 months through storms and sickness. When they finally reached North America, they landed far north of their intended destination and founded the colony of Plymouth. The first winter proved devastating, with freezing weather, hunger, and disease killing nearly half the settlers. The colony survived largely because of help from Native Americans, including Squanto, who taught them how to grow crops and fish the waters of New England. During the 1630s, thousands of Puritans left England in what became known as the Great Migration. They hoped to build a society based on strict religious principles. These settlers founded the Massachusetts Bay Colony and rapidly established towns centered around churches and community government. Their leaders believed their colony should serve as a city upon a hill, a model society for the world. Families arrived with supplies, livestock, and plans for permanent communities. Within a few decades, New England had developed into a network of growing towns connected by shared beliefs and strong local leadership. Life in New England was shaped by geography. Rocky soil made large plantations difficult, so settlers relied on fishing, timber, and trade. Fishing fleets sailed into the rich Atlantic waters, while forests provided wood for shipbuilding. Shipyards built vessels used throughout the British Empire. Trade flourished as merchants exported fish, lumber, and other goods across the Atlantic world. Education was also important. Puritan leaders believed everyone should be able to read the Bible, leading to schools and eventually colleges such as Harvard. Town meetings allowed colonists to debate issues and vote on local decisions, establishing traditions of community governance. Further south, the Middle Colonies developed a different character. Regions such as New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Delaware had fertile soil and longer growing seasons. Farmers produced large amounts of grain, earning the region the nickname the breadbasket colonies. These colonies also attracted immigrants from across Europe. Dutch traders, German farmers, Scots-Irish settlers, Africans, and English merchants created one of the most culturally diverse societies in colonial America. Cities like Philadelphia and New York grew rapidly thanks to busy ports and river systems that supported trade. Pennsylvania was founded by William Penn in 1681 as a colony built on ideas of religious tolerance. Penn was a Quaker who believed strongly in peaceful relations and fair government. The colony welcomed settlers from many faiths, including Quakers, Lutherans, Catholics, and Jews. Immigrants from across Europe arrived searching for opportunity and freedom. The capital city of Philadelphia quickly grew into one of the largest cities in North America. Penn's ideas about liberty and equality helped shape the culture of the colony and influence the political ideas that would later shape the United States. The southern colonies developed economies built around plantation agriculture. Colonies such as Virginia, Maryland, the Carolinas, and Georgia produced valuable crops like tobacco, rice, and indigo. Large plantations spread along rivers where fertile soil and warm climates supported farming. Wealthy landowners controlled vast estates while rivers served as transportation routes connecting plantations to global trade. These crops generated enormous profits but required large labor forces to cultivate and harvest them. As plantation agriculture expanded, enslaved Africans were increasingly forced into labor across the southern colonies. Ships carrying captives from Africa arrived in colonial ports as part of the transatlantic forced laborer trade. Captive men, women, and children were forced to work in fields producing tobacco, rice, and other crops. Colonial laws gradually hardened into systems that treated forced laborer people as property. The triangular trade connected Europe, Africa, and the Americas in a massive commercial network. While plantation owners grew wealthy, millions of Africans endured unimaginable suffering. For most colonists, daily life was difficult and demanding. Families worked long hours farming, raising livestock, and producing many of their own goods. Homes were simple wooden structures built using nearby forests. Inside, daily activities revolved around the hearth where meals were prepared. Children helped with chores such as carrying water, feeding animals, and helping with harvests. Communities depended heavily on cooperation between neighbors. By the 18th century, the American colonies were part of a vast trade network connecting Europe, Africa, and the Americas. Merchant ships constantly crossed the Atlantic, carrying goods between continents. Colonial exports such as tobacco, grain, and lumber were shipped to European markets while manufactured goods returned from Britain. Ports like Boston, New York, and Charleston became busy centers of commerce. As trade expanded, colonial towns grew into major cities. Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and Charleston became important centers of commerce and culture. Harbors filled with ships while streets bustled with merchants and craftsmen. Printing presses produced newspapers that spread news and political ideas between colonies. During the 1730s and 1740s, a powerful religious revival known as the Great Awakening swept across the colonies. Traveling preachers delivered emotional sermons calling for spiritual renewal. One of the most famous was George Whitefield, whose dramatic preaching drew thousands of listeners. The movement encouraged colonists to think independently about religion and authority. Although they remained part of the British Empire, many colonies developed traditions of local self-government. Colonists elected representatives to assemblies that created laws and managed local affairs. Town meetings allowed citizens to debate issues and vote on decisions. These practices gave colonists experience governing themselves. Despite being separated by distance, the 13 colonies gradually developed a shared identity. Trade routes connected ports along the coast, while newspapers spread stories between colonies. Merchants, travelers, and political leaders carried news from town to town. Over time, colonists began to see themselves as part of a larger American society. By the mid-1700s, the American colonies had grown stronger and more prosperous. Yet tensions with Britain were rising. British laws attempted to control trade and colonial governments. Many colonists believed they deserved the same rights as citizens in Britain. These conflicts would soon lead to open resistance and eventually revolution.
If you enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you don't miss what comes next.